That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Damsel, the fourth film directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, which is being released courtesy of Netflix on March 8th, 2024.
Do we know the director's other films?
Yeah, he's kind of an interesting trajectory. Back in 2001, he made quite a splash with his debut Intacto. He followed by a major studio film with 28 Weeks Later, which you have seen. Then he did a film called Intruders, which I remember seeing at Toronto's Film Festival, a very odd film with Clive Owen. And then it hasn't done a film since then, but a lot of announced projects that fell through, including the Pet Sematary remake he was attached to, and the Crow reboot.
Oh. Damsel. A dutiful damsel agrees to marry a handsome prince, only to find the royal family has recruited her as a sacrifice to repay an ancient debt. What is your pull quote?
The only distress experienced in this damsel is wading through the shoddy CGI of yet another soulless streaming fantasy film, as boring as it is derivative.
Mine. Surprisingly thin on fantasy or feeling, Damsel may only appeal to those curious to see what Miss Brown is up to. Yeah, this is a no for me.
Well, she's executive produced it, I assuming because of the success of her other Netflix movies, those Enola Holmes films, which I have not seen.
Oh no, I don't know about those. My first note is this opening CGI slaps you right in the face. It kind of has the feeling to me of the J-Lo This Is Me Now movie, like just all green screen and interesting casting.
Interesting casting.
Because in addition to Millie Bobby Brown, we have Angela Bassett and Robin Wright.
In medieval times.
And then we have the...
Looking touched by an angel.
The actress voicing the dragon.
Oh, the great Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Yeah.
Who, to me, is the best part of this, is her voice acting, yeah.
But the film starts like in medieval times, and we see a king inside of like a cavern, and the king slays 3 dragon eggs. And we see that the dragon mother kills all of the people except the king and tells him, death is not good enough for you. What I'm going to do is, until I die, every season, you need to provide me with 3 of your daughters for me to kill, and I'll leave the kingdom alone. But if you don't, I'm going to burn this bitch down.
If you don't,
I'm going to burn this bitch down. Mm-hmm. So that's what they've been doing. So we fast forward centuries, and we see that they've been sacrificing 3 daughters, and how they're doing that is they basically have the prince at any given time marry 3 women to then throw into the pit for the dragon. And then they do like one of those blood handshakes, which is how the dragon detects royal blood in these women. So we focus on Millie Bobby Brown. Her family is like working class. They run a little shop. And one day they receive a letter from the Queen of Aria, Robin Wright.
Queen Isabelle.
Saying that her son, the prince, played by Nick Robinson, wants to marry her. And then they send over some people from the kingdom.
An emissary.
And they meet...
This woman shows up and goes, she'll do.
Literally meets Millie Bobby Brown and says, she'll do. And no one's worried about
No one's suspicious.
So they pack up their shit to go get hitched, y'all. And immediately you can tell something's wrong. Because they have to take a boat into, like, to the island. And we see that, like, to enter the island, there are these really, like... It's kind of a scary passageway with these fire-breathing dragon statues, which is a red flag.
Yeah.
But Robin Wright's not friendly. Nick Robinson, the prince, is kind of awkward. Angela Bassett's trying to connect with the queen, and she's like...
The queen's like, we don't need any more family.
This is just a transaction, bitch. So they get married in kind of a chintzy wedding, and immediately go to... Like, the prince takes Millie.
They get in a carriage and he takes her up the mountain. He's like, we're going to do another ritual.
And then the entire, like, Queen's court is there. I don't know how they got there before the newlyweds did.
Robin Wright is standing out there like Christopher Lee in The Wicker Man. Like, hey.
Yeah. And Robin Wright explains to Millie, like, well, thanks for doing this. You're really helping our kingdom. And then she has the prince throw her in the pit, which was the funniest part of the movie.
It is, yes.
Because he threw her in that pit like when you throw food into the garbage disposal.
Yeah, I'm done with you.
So the middle part of the film is Millie in this cavern trying to escape this dragon trying to kill her.
It's toying with her, actually.
It's kind of playing with her. And we see that many other young girls have died down here. And they have written on the walls in very nice penmanship, kind of the story of what's happening and giving her clues. So Millie is able to escape, but that upsets the dragon.
Partially with the help of her father, Ray Winstone, who comes back feeling guilty with a team of men.
Yeah. So the dragon starts to burn down the kingdom. And that's when the queen realizes, like, well, we need to give another daughter. So Millie Bobby Brown's character's name is Elodie. Elodie. Her sister's name is Floria. Floria seems a little special. A little touched.
Floria's an Aurea.
And then they're an Aurea, which I thought all these names sound like bacteria.
Yeah.
But anyway, Robin Wright goes to get
They're like
Floria.
one-celled organisms. Yeah.
Amoebas. But everything culminates in Millie Bobby Brown confronting the dragon and badly injuring the dragon. Like, breaks her wing, stabs her in the foot, gouges out an eye. And so the dragon's like, go on ahead and kill me. And Millie says, no, you need to know what you've been doing. We are not their daughters. They're tricking us. They do this blood pact. Like, you're basically doing to us what they did to your children. So don't you feel stupid. And that was the only part of the movie that made me kind of emotional. I felt bad for the dragon.
Yeah, I think that's why this film's so odd. You feel bad for the dragon.
And then earlier in the film, we saw that within this cavern, there are these glowworms that have healing properties. So Millie Bobby Brown chooses not to kill the dragon, but heal her with the intention of, we're both going back to this castle to burn it up.
Burn it to the ground.
And that's what they do.
Yeah.
So then the end of the film is Millie, her sister Floria, and her stepmother, Angela Bassett, who we'll get to, leaving the island.
Lady Bayford.
And the dragon follows them on the ship. So I don't know where this dragon thinks it's going.
I don't know where they think they're going, but we really needed Styx Come Sail Away to play for the image. I'm just going to start going through my notes. Angela Bassett's Europria Encyclopedia Britannica accent is really distracting. It's not quite as bad as like Angelina in Beowulf, also starring Ray Winstone.
No.
Or Alexander, but yeah.
But also Angela looks great, like she always does, and she looks regal. But then she's paired with
Ray Winstone, who looks like he's falling apart.
But they're supposed to be commoners, so it just kind of doesn't make sense. Like, where did you find Angela Bassett?
Well, because don't they say he has a store and they can't afford to keep it open any
Right.
longer? And it's like, well, if she didn't dress the way she does,
And get that skincare she does,
Right.
maybe you wouldn't be broke. But I thought Angela was distracting. Also, I don't think I've ever seen a stepmother in a movie be so down for her stepchildren. I mean, she's just like exceedingly riding for these girls. But your husband basically sold the oldest daughter. I mean, granted, when Angela gets to the kingdom of Aurea, she does try to relate to the queen, and that's when the queen shoots her down. But I just thought that their dynamic felt odd.
it does, and it just makes you think, like, how much more interesting could this have been if it wasn't starring Millie Bobby Brown, and a real kind of emotional core that could have happened if this just starred Angela Bassett with her own daughters.
Well, let's talk about, because you said, I thought a better story would have been, well, I think this should have been more of like a dark, like action film with like a kick-ass young lady. Like half of the film is her battling the dragon, trying to escape it. Because I thought the better parts of the movie were Millie Bobby Brown in the cavern trying to escape, even though it's very CGI heavy. And then, of course, when she confronts the dragon at the end, I thought that worked very well. So what if the first half were that, and then the second half is these two joining forces to defeat this evil kingdom?
Again, there are some interesting elements, but I think that this candy-coated CGI bullshit is so tired. They should have just shot this on location at some crumbling castle, and then made this a really dark, dank, creepy, existential horror film.
Well, imagine if this had the vibe of Gretel and Hansel.
Well, I was thinking even The Devil's Bath recently from the Austrian filmmakers of this. These were not fun times, especially for women. And so this woman who's going to be sacrificed, even how they do the blood ritual, they should have had her drinking blood to fool it. And I don't think, we don't need to see this dragon that looks like a griffin. We should have had her tossed into this dark forest, and then this Shohreh Aghdashloo's voice alone have this like weird demonic presence playing with her that's going to murder her. This could have been so fantastically creepy.
Yeah, because the bones of the story of this dragon trying to avenge the death of her children is very interesting, but I totally agree. It's just like a CGI fluffy mess.
I mean, and again, it is derivative because even this mechanism, it's like, okay, so this kingdom, it's like Andromeda being trotted out so the Kraken can eat her. In Greek mythology. It's like,
I don't have any thoughts about Millie Bobby Brown, but I thought she was kind of annoying in this film because, I mean, at like halfway through, I wrote down, shouldn't I feel bad for her? But I don't. I think she's kind of annoying. She's kind of a know-it-all. When she first meets the prince, she kind of has an attitude like she hasn't even gotten to know him yet to be so aggressive. Then we find out the letters she sent to him as a response to the marriage invite was not all her own doing. Like Angela Bassett wrote it. And then we see that she says, like, in the letter she says, I hope you'll get to know my heart. And then apparently drew like an anatomical heart. Yeah. It's just all so corny.
She's Millie Bobby. What's her character name? Elodie is giving kind of the Snow White vibes. Like nature is in tune with her, and like she finds these burning sparrows at the beginning, and she's like trying to put them out. Like, what happened to you? It's like, I think you have bigger things to worry about.
Yeah.
Than the burning birds.
The scene where she's putting on her wedding dress had a weird vibe because it was kind of like. It was giving Cinderella vibes, but it was boring. And then the wedding, because we spent like 90 seconds watching her put on this, like having all her attendants put on her wedding gown. And then we go to the wedding and it looks real simple. And that's when we learn there's another woman waiting in the wings to get married.
It's like Las Vegas.
Because we learned,
medieval Las Vegas.
Yeah, because we learned that the dragon requires 3 sacrifices at a time. So then I thought that the movie could have been so much more fun. There are so many other stories that would have been better. Like the movie could have just been this queen trying to organize 3 weddings at once and trick all these girls. And then maybe, what's the movie?
That could have been really warped and morbid, like the wedding planners trying to balance all these girls and keep their families apart.
Or we watched a movie at Sony Studios in Culver City about this woman who gets sent to the UK to marry this handsome vampire.
Oh, The Invitation?
Yes. I feel like it could have had that vibe where the 3 women show up to the kingdom and then maybe they band together to defeat maybe the dragon and the kingdom. There's just so many storylines that could have been more engaging than what we got. It's just too much time on Millie Bobby Brown, who I think...
She's fine.
At the point where she joins forces with the dragon, she has mysteriously, because she has like Rapunzel hair until she joins forces with the dragon, and then miraculously gets like a perfectly cut bob.
Yeah,
we don't even see her cutting her hair.
We see her braiding something. It's like,
and then she's wearing like a sexy like little black dress, like tattered. And then they try to make her look very va-va-voom, which I felt very uncomfortable with. Also, her posture is like she's trying to be sexy, like Laura. I don't know.
Why is there eye makeup at this point of the film?
This little girl has full makeup on.
And I don't know who that's for besides Drake, but I felt like I didn't need it.
I thought it was funny that once she says "I do" and they kiss each other at the wedding, they don't even let her have like a night.
No.
To rest.
They cart her right off.
It all happened so fast that to me, I think we didn't even need all of that. We could have had the film start with the ceremony and then they throw her in the pit and then maybe we find the other bride down there and then we get that exposition of what's happening. Also, the dragon is very smart and speaks perfectly English and seems to know everything. So I'm surprised that the dragon never put 2 and 2 together, that these probably aren't the daughters of this bloodline. Like that just seemed like a big oversight that the dragon never, Like maybe we needed it to not be the bloodline, but like members of the kingdom or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Like at one point, it seems like you're all humans, so you're all kind of the same and miserable, horrible creatures. So I don't know where the dragon's conscience kind of starts in this situation. But yeah, we focus on all the wrong things. I don't know why we didn't spend more time between father and daughter, showing how conflicted he is that he has to sell this for their survival. But does he really? Because they're seen as being okay, like they're gonna get by.
Or if, I mean, I'm assuming back then, if the royal court presents you with an option, like you take it, but it just all feels so flimsy and rapid. And so then when he returns to apologize to her, it felt very like, okay, I don't really care about either one of you.
Right. And then Robin Wright has her guards stab Angela Bassett.
Yeah, Angela Bassett gets shanked in the abdomen.
But thankfully there are glowworms, and she's fine.
I think this dragon needed therapy because the dragon's talking a lot about what happened to her. Yes. And it just sounds like someone just needs to talk to the dragon. Because she seems kind of reasonable, I mean, to a degree.
The last of her line, her daughters were murdered. It's like, okay.
It just sounded, I felt bad for her. Like, wow, you devoted your entire life to avenging the death of your children.
To snacking on these treats.
But in actuality, you were doing the same thing that they did to you, killing innocent people.
But it is an island and it's not that big, so I'm just curious about what the dragon was doing the rest of the year.
Just chilling, and then also because we're told like from the opening scene to when we meet Millie Bobby Brown, centuries have passed in a land far, far away. So then I thought, okay, if they're doing this every season for centuries, wouldn't like people around the area know that stay away from the kingdom of Aria because they take your girls and they never come back?
You don't want an invite to that party.
Because also the families come for the weddings and they have 3 weddings at once. And then all these people presumably get to leave. So are they killing everyone involved so no one knows? Again, it's just such an elaborate thing that needed explanation.
That sets up a much more interesting scenario where all these families are meeting like, my daughter's the Princess of Oria, so is mine. Like,
yeah, something like that.
I'm Mrs. Frankie Lyman. Like, but nobody is seeing their children ever again.
Oh, Millie does a lot of screaming in this movie, which, I mean, she really did try to give us something.
She's trying. Again, she's not my least favorite part. It just feels like...
she's able to incapacitate the dragon at a point by having the dragon, because when the dragon shoots its fire, it's like lava. Mm-hmm. So she stands in front of like a clamshell. So when the dragon shoots at her, the fire comes back on the dragon, and the dragon's own fire burns it.
Yeah,
I thought that was weird.
That didn't quite.
How can it come out of your throat, but then you can't get it on your neck? I don't know. Did that not seem weird to you?
It did seem weird. It seemed like maybe that is why her genetic line is dried up.
My last note is after Millie, with the help of the dragon, burned down the castle, we see Millie have like one last catwalk down the bridge. And she really thought she was serving. I just think it's so weird that they tried to make her all va-va-voom at the end.
It does not fit well for several reasons. But again, Shohreh Aghdashloo's voice is divine. It is giving me Mercedes McCambridge doing The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. I like listening to her.
What would you give Damsel?
1.5. 1.5.
I'd give it 2 out of 5. I think that's being nice. I didn't care for it. I do think there are parts, like when they're in the cave, it had my attention.
I liked it about as much as I like that Zellner Brothers movie of the same title with Robert Pattinson.
I mean, especially after, what's the movie with Charlize Theron and Kerry Washington?
Something about the School for Good and Evil.
It's like, is this what we're doing, Netflix? These kind of fantasy films with notable ladies in them and no good storytelling?
With nothing for them to do?
Anything else?
No.
Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.